So I'm going to touch on the GOAT debate, focusing on Michael Jordan and LeBron James. I could include other persons like Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but they're not the focus for now. I'm going to put it up front and says, I do not see Michael Jordan as the GOAT. Persons who say MJ is the GOAT makes the point from a sentimental basis. He looks good doing what he did, and of course, he's a hell of a player. You cannot take that away from him and all what he did for the game. But um, what I'm saying is that those who argue that he is the GOAT, they do it on a subjective basis, not a factual one. They make that statement based on the fact, that he looked good doing what he did. And of course, as I said, he's pretty good as well. Let me give you a quick example. Remember Paul George when he was discussing how Doc Rivers was utilizing him and how it affected, you know, his play and all of that sort of stuff. Analysts quickly went out there and they pull up the evidence. And what it showed, he was wrong. He felt that way, and you could see based on his actions that it affected his game. No doubt about that. But the evidence shows that what he was feeling was not correct. Evidence versus emotion or how I feel. I could just throw another quick one out there. If we talk about Kyrie Irving, people often say that Irving was the closer when he was playing in Cleveland together with LeBron James. Kyrie Irving, he looked spectacular in the way he was, taking those shots, those acrobatic shots, trick shots, whatever you choose to call it. He looked good. And, you know, he was a closer, not the closer. I say that because, again, when you look at the evidence, you saw LeBron James took the majority of shots in the last 5 critical seconds of the game, which makes LeBron James the closer. All right. And um, we could even take it a little further. LeBron James had a better make record than Kyrie Irving. So not only was LeBron James the closer, he was more of an efficient or better closer. Okay. So Kyrie, uh, yes, he was good. He was one of the closers, but he was not the closer. Okay. So the persons who make the argument for MJ being the GOAT over LeBron, okay, there are a few points that they use. And I will touch on, I'm not going to touch on every single one of them. I don't have the time to do that. But I'll just bring up about two or three quick ones. One, they say that MJ is the ultimate winner. He went to the final 6 times, he won 6 times. And I will tell you up front, that is a weak argument. I will move a little bit away from basketball to quickly explain what I'm saying. And let's look at the current phenomenon, COVID-19. If we look at 2018 economy and we look at 2019 economy and someone asks which economy was better, someone would probably tell you 2018 was a better economy. But to make such a conclusion would be ignoring the fact that 2019, that COVID-19, sorry, happened in 2019. Okay? There is an adjustment that has to be made to factor in the coronavirus. And when you make those adjustments, you might very well see that 2019, economy wise, was better than 2018. In other words, I'm saying your control for the variable. It may not be that 2000 that you come to that conclusion after you control, but I'm saying the possibility exists. The same thing if we go back to basketball, when you talk about the 6 for 6 argument. The majority of times that LeBron James went to the finals, he did not have the better team. In fact, his team was not the team that was expected to win. I could bring in, his first trip to the finals against San Antonio Spurs. Most people will tell you he had no business going there. He carried the team to the finals, but that was not a team that really should be there. And you could look at the number of times he went against the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, the Golden State Warriors had the better team. They were expected to win. Compared to Michael Jordan, every trip he went to the finals, not only did he have the best team, but everybody thought, or the majority of people thought, that he would be winning the finals. So you have to control for those circumstances. If someone wants to argue, this is just basketball, and why do you have to do all of that to determine, who is the ultimate winner, all of that sort of stuff? I'll tell you, some of those very same people will not say that Bill Russell is the ultimate winner. That he had 11 championships in 14 years, and he had, here we go, 8 for 8 championships. That would make him, the ultimate winner, if you want to put it in those terms. In other words, what they will tell you is that Bill Russell played in a time when there was smaller number of teams in the league. In other words, what they're doing, they're controlling for the league size. So it would be hypocritical to say don't adjust for circumstances between LeBron and MJ, but at the same time, when you compare Bill Russell and Michael Jordan, you're willing to make to control in those circumstances. That's just being hypocritical. The next point they generally say is that LeBron did not play in MG era. MG had a more hard-nosed style of play. Uh, I mean, forget that, the first 2 years or 3 years, somewhere around there, LeBron played kinda in that era a little bit. But my point is, there's nobody who could tell you that if LeBron played in MG era, that he would not be a great player. I mean, who is to know what would happen? How good he would be, or if LeBron, or if MJ played in LeBron era. I, some people will tell you, well, it's softer. They automatically come to the assumption, but again, it's subjective. So you really don't know. The third argument is that MJ won a Defensive Player of the Year, in addition to his MVP awards. Again, this is another subjective argument. I say that because in people vote on those awards, and one could argue that the year MJ won Defensive Player of the Year, it probably could have gone to Hakeem Olajuwon, just as in 2013 when Marc Gasol won the Defensive Player Award. A number of people may tell you that was LeBron James' um, Defensive Player Award. I could go even further. MJ played with Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen never got a Defensive Player Award, but I don't know many people will tell you that MJ was a better defender than Scottie. All right. So, these are three of the key arguments you hear people bring forth that support MG, but they're subjective. And what I'm saying is that if you're looking at the GOATs, you want to look at more clearly defined measures. And I will give you some of them. For example, we look at winning. Who contributes more to winning in terms of, when you're on the team as opposed to when you're off the team? How does winning go? How does the needle for winning go up or down? And for example, when LeBron James left Cleveland for Miami, you could see that Cleveland, it automatically dropped to one of the worst teams in the league. Same thing when he left Cleveland and went to the Lakers. Personnel change maybe just a little, but um, you could see the huge impact LeBron had on leaving the team as opposed to when he came onto the team. Um, this, on the other hand, when you look at Michael Jordan, when he left Chicago to play baseball, not only was Chicago a playoff team, but they advanced. They were a competitive team. So we could measure the drop off in the team, and you could see that LeBron James contributed more to winning. Then we could talk about clutch. In the last 5 seconds, critical 5 seconds of the game, LeBron James took more of those shots than MG. And he had a better make record. Again, this is what the evidence shows. So If we were to go on the data, you would see that LeBron James is more clutch, evidence-wise, than MG. Now, of course, some people may decide, it doesn't matter. I want to choose MG, to take the final shot. That's okay. Quite frankly, I probably might do that myself too. But I'm telling you, based on the evidence, LeBron James has been more clutch than um, than MG. And we could also look at other factors like going into the fourth quarter if the team has a lead, who teams end up winning the game and all of that sort of thing. And most of them favor um, LeBron James. Another argument would be, who is the more complete player? If we look at points, rebounds, assists, steals, it favors LeBron. He's a bigger, faster, stronger athlete. Um, and of course, we should not compare the games. They played in different positions. The style of play is different and all of that sort of thing. But in essence, what I'm saying is that it's one can hardly dispute that LeBron is a more complete player than MG. That said, from an analytical point of view, if we take emotion out of the argument and simply look at the facts, if we look at it from an objective point of view, LeBron James is a better player than what Michael Jordan was. In other words, he's the GOAT between the two players.